Welcome to the show, Linda Marks. You are an award-winning Boston-based singer-songwriter and emotional alchemist. Your music covers a variety of styles from jazz, gospel, Latin, and blues, just to name a few. You're co-founder of the Women in Music Gathering and the leader of the International Singer-Songwriter Association Boston Northeast chapter, and a member of the Recording Academy and a big records artist. Thank you so much for joining us, and please do tell us more.
Thank you so much for having me. For me, music was my very first language. I didn't talk till I was 3, but as a toddler, I was mesmerized by any piano I could find my way to. My family didn't have one, although my first word was piano, so I desperately wanted one. And I would walk up to any piano I could find and start playing and writing music. And my first allowed instrument was a recorder when I was 3 because it was a free program at the Launchie School of Music, and my parents liked the price. And when I was in 3rd grade, there was a free Suzuki violin program in my school. So again, the price was right. And even though I showed potential, I had no interest in playing the violin. I wanted a piano. And when I was in 7th grade, I became the school drummer in the band, which I like because I've always had a sense of rhythm, and they needed a drummer, and I thought it was a cool thing to be a girl drummer, and I liked it. And when I was 11, I'd earned enough money to buy a guitar from a place called New England Woodwind that had a flood, so they were selling them on the cheap. So I got myself an Aria nylon string guitar and started learning chords. And when I was 12 or 13, I'd finally saved up enough money to get a piano. And as a little girl, I used to watch Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote cartoons. And Wile E. Coyote got everything from the Acme company. So I figured I would try to find an Acme piano company, and I did. And I found myself a Rika and Sons upright piano, and I'd saved up enough money to purchase it. So I walked downstairs at age 12 with the money and said to my parents, I've saved the money. I found the piano. I'm 12 years old. Will you please drive me to the store so I can get it and give me somewhere to put it? Which was unfortunately the 2-season freezing porch. But I finally got my piano, and I haven't looked back.
Right.
You're like an orchestra.
Yes. I love to orchestrate, Skyler. And one thing that is a benefit of having played instruments is I hear things. And I may not want to be a violinist, but I love putting violin on my arrangements and cello. And I've always wanted to play the saxophone, and I haven't learned, but I have a fantastic saxophonist who plays on my concerts and my albums. So one good thing about learning lots of instruments is it helps me appreciate the role they can play in good arrangements.
Exactly. To get interested in any instrument is a beautiful thing. Tell me about your lyrical content. These days, I believe you're writing social conscious music, right?
Yes, I've actually almost always done that. I call it songs at the heart of our times. And I saw the power even as a little kid about when you write songs that talk about things that speak to people, people like to sing along, and they build bridges and they heal all divides. So music for global change is in my heart and soul and has been since I was a child. Right now, a song from my 14th studio album, the album is called A Recipe for Hope, which is all about global change. There's a song called Love Always Wins that's number 70 on the UK Top 100 chart right now. And that's a song that is in the music for global change category. Actually, a project I'm working on and a song I'm really excited about that will be coming out later this year is called Sanctuary. It was inspired by and includes words of domestic violence survivors. And I wrote it for 2 good organizations that help domestic violence survivors, but I've put together a global team of fellow Recording Academy members, and we've now recorded what I call the global version. And someone from Israel had to dodge, danger from the war to get to the studio to record her part. We have someone from Greece, 2 people who were born in India. And I'm very excited because it's a beautiful version, and we want to help bring awareness to the roots of domestic violence, which sadly is a global issue. Unfortunately, it transcends geography, age, socioeconomic background, you name it. And our hope is that we can create some global change and healing through the music. So I love writing songs for global change. And what's even more meaningful is when it touches people and it touches their hearts and it makes people want to make a difference.
I've written for women's empowerment and the homeless and
Yes.
the environment. And you know what I mean? And I started out doing like that, but now I transitioned into positive music instead of issues music. You know what I mean?
They can actually be one and the same because Sanctuary may be about domestic violence, but it's a healing, uplifting song. It's a song about the ability to make change and find sanctuary and become free. So even when I write about an issue, it's usually an uplifting, transformational, inspirational message.
That's what the movement is all about.
Yes, exactly.
Positive lyrical content, right?
Exactly. And it is so important because people need to hear positive lyrical content. Their
Right.
hearts are hungry to hear positive lyrical content.
Give bad news some competition.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And transform the things that cause pain with good news.
Yes, I mean it's medicine for anything.
Exactly.
It's medicine. So people in pain, what do? They go see a doctor so they can get some medicine, right?
Right.
Th-
Yeah.
th- This is this is medicine for negativity.
Most of the singer-songwriters in my world write what comes from their heart, and they're not sitting there saying, I'm now going to write in this genre. It's like, I don't sit there saying I'm going to write in a genre. Something inspires me and a song seed starts and I follow it and it turns out the genre it is. I don't say I'm going to write a jazz song, but I might, and I often find my home in the folk American roots genre just because music for global change fits in the folk genre, but my orchestration might have a saxophone on it. So, the genres are useful for marketing, but in terms of for reaching people, most of the songwriters I know who write from the heart aren't sitting there trying to hit a genre as a mold.
There's three things I want to take away from music. I mean, since where music's in apparel right now in the music business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's take out the things that was wrong in the first place, which is age discrimination,
Mm-hmm.
image,
Mm-hmm.
take that out, right? And let's get back to the human sound.
Absolutely.
So if we do that, now we're teaching the kids how to, push it along, right? Because people taught us how to do it. We wasn't
Mm-hmm.
always here. Like you said, when you was a baby, you got inspired, right? And once it bites you, you're bitten.
What's really interesting is I look back at some of the songs I wrote when I was young. When I was 21, I went to the laundromat in Arlington, Massachusetts, and there was a woman sitting on the bench, and we ended up striking up a conversation and becoming friends and music collaborators. But we wrote quite a few songs, and I was only 21 and she was only 26. But some of those songs are just as good as what I write now. We wrote a song called Everybody's Got a Song to Sing, which is a message about how everybody has a voice, everybody has a note to contribute. And that song is a beautiful song. It doesn't matter that I was 21. But the flip side is, once a person, certainly one could say over 40, but over 50, it's like you become, as you said, the age thing. I did a concert with one of my Artist Alliance group that was called Stories to Tell the Wisdom of Lived Years. And it focused on songwriters over 50. And I even wrote a song called The Wisdom of Lived Years, which I wrote as a lullaby for our children. So, I think when we break those stereotypes, whether we show a really young person doing something really beautiful or you show that people over 50 have at least as much vibrancy as somebody 20, I think that's really important, particularly for kids.
I just finished a song that I started writing 27 years ago.
Cool.
I wrote
Yeah.
it with a friend of mine, and I was like, it's a trip. We never finished it, so I
Yeah.
got a chance to finish it, and it's so cool. I
Yeah.
mean, it's 27 years ago, so stop saying this. Nobody's heard it, right?
Right.
So it's not
Right.
old, you know.
No, that's really exciting. And it's a great story too of how you started writing the song 27 years ago and now is when it was time to finish it.
It's supposed to come out only when it's supposed to come out.
Exactly.
Your passion for community music and mentoring, the different projects that you've done. For example, the music salon. Tell us a little bit about
Yes.
that.
The music salon was actually a small, intimate house concert series I started in my very modest home. I've almost been here 10 years. That's hard to believe. But there was a pandemic that sort of interceded a little bit in having people into a small home. But the whole idea was to build community through music and the arts. And even in a modest home where, 12 to 20 people packs your house, to have a potluck, and I love to cook and make healthy food and share it with people. And you'd always have either a featured visual artist or a poet or a storyteller. And then I'd always do a set and there'd be a guest featured artist. It was really beautiful because everybody talks to everybody. It's not, a big stage where some people are the performers and some are the audience. Actually, many of the people that would come were themselves musicians or artists because they liked being in a place where musicians and artists gathered. So we had a fantastic run of 6.5 years before the pandemic made it impossible. And what was amazing is people from all over the world, including big names, were contacting me to play there. And I have to explain, I have a very modest home. And if they're looking for the big money, if I have 12 to 20 people and they make a donation, it will probably not pay their airfare to come over from Iceland to play. But if they wanted to play, they were welcome. And many people who did choose to play, they said it was one of their favorite places just because of all the love in the room. And because people really wanted to engage with the art and the music. And that is meaningful, to really have people listening carefully. And what I did during the pandemic is I pivoted to a virtual model and started to do it with people all over the world. Because once you go virtual, it doesn't have to be someone that can drive to Waltham, Massachusetts. So, I have a lot of things that are sort of halfway between. Like I do a weekly live stream that I've done for almost 4 years. That was part of my response to having all my gigs canceled. It's called Songs from the Heart, Meditations for the Heart. And it started to build a global following. And I still do it every week. And people listen from all over the world. And with the replay, people can listen not just when it's happening, they can listen whenever they want.
So what's on the agenda for you now?
I have a gig that I'm very excited about at a place called the Fallout Shelter in Norwood, Massachusetts. It's a very special venue because they video everything. And people can come live, but they also live stream. So a person anywhere could listen or watch. And I'm bringing along 3 phenomenal musicians to join me. I'm a piano player, but one thing that's very clear is behind a piano, it's really hard to make the same contact with the audience as when you're not behind a piano. So for half of the songs, I'm stepping away, and someone named Doug Hammer, who's an amazing musician, and he's one of my sound engineer people too. He'll be playing for half the songs. I'll be playing for half. A man named Doug Kortler, who is a phenomenal musician and songwriter and instrumentalist and recording engineer, will be playing guitar and percussion. And my totally from the heart music for global change saxophonist Willie Sordillo will be playing sax. And he and I have had projects where we do concerts that are in the theme of music for global change. He has some people he worked with, but in this case, he's joining my band, and I'm really excited because they're fantastic people. They've got great hearts, and we're going to get to play some music for global change in a fantastic venue. I'm going to be turning the Sanctuary song, the Global Edition, into a video with images from domestic violence survivors to uplift and heal. Yeah. And I'm working on a Boston press rollout and a more global press rollout because we want it to be a healing song. So that's going to be a project that's going to be taking time. And I've written all the songs from my 15th studio album, which is called The Silence of the Stars. And I'm in the process of getting those produced as I write more songs. So
there's probably a lot of people on that record, right?
Yeah, I'm grateful for that. I love all the people that are involved in making a record. It really is a village to make a record, and that's a blessing. For my last couple records, I've worked with Glenn Barrett of Morningstar Studios in Philly. He's a multi-Grammy winning sound engineer who's got an amazing ear, and it's wonderful to work with him. And Eric Balke of Hudson Harding Music does a lot of the pre and post production work and works with Glenn. And He helps the music get heard by the global folk community. And A Recipe for Hope was on the charts for January. It charted very well, which I'm happy about. Oh, an interesting thing about the pandemic, it changed where my musicians can live. Like there was a time for many of my albums, they'd all be local people who'd come into my local studio and we'd record, and they could play my release concert. But when the pandemic hit, it's like you can be anywhere in the world and submit a track, and my sound engineer can be anywhere as long as I can get to their studio to re-record my vocals for them when everything's put together. And now when I want to do a release show, almost nobody lives here, and my violinist is coming up from Memphis, but I'm having to find other people to play because the people that played are all over the place.
That's what I'm saying. We can do that now. We couldn't do it back then. This song I got coming out right now. The drummer's from Germany, the singer with me from Amsterdam, the bass player and guitar players over in Perth. You know what I mean? One guy, the keyboard players from Ghana. There's another one from Salisbury. I mean, it's music for global change for real, right?
For real.
Tom's going to get all your information. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for creating music for global change. It so resonates with my heart, and I'm so glad that you've created it.
Basically, where people can go, Linda, to see what you're doing, websites, kind of any social media that you're on, if you can tell us what.
Sure. Any digital platform to hear my songs, because I'm on all the digital platforms. My YouTube channel is LSMHEART, LSM Heart. And I love my YouTube channel because I put all kinds of content on it, from, hey, I just wrote this now, to my lyric videos for my album and shows. So it's really fun to just see what's evolving. On Facebook, both my Linda Marks Music and Linda Marks page always have lots of music. My Instagram is LSM Heart, and so is my X or Twitter. My website is lindamarksmusic.com.
Fantastic. Thanks, Linda.
Well, bless you for taking the time and giving us the privilege of your time.
Well, I'm totally honored to be here and to be part of your vision. It's a real privilege to be part of Music for Global Change. So thank you for creating it and for leading it.
Music can save the world. Music can save the world. If we all get together, music can save the world. Save the world. Music can save the world. If we all come together, music can save the world. There's an urgency facing our humanity.
Thank you so much for watching. To stay up to date, please click subscribe and hit the bell. You can also join our group on Facebook and find us on LinkedIn and Instagram.